So, what will be the salary range for a person who starts a career as a data engineer?
Startups, what I feel is okay, they might be a little better. For freshers, it could be go up to like.
Sarthak works as a data engineer at American Express. And one amazing thing about Sarthak is that he offers free one-on-one mentorship on TopMate. So, usually, where did you pick up these coding skills from? Did you do it in your college days or after college days?
Although I did study, but I did not really pursue it as a career.
So, if you want to tell somebody who's just starting up, like maybe from non-tech background or from a career break, where should they start learning?
I think for Python and SQL, I benefited a lot from.
So, what would you suggest for a fresher whether to choose data analytics or data engineering?
They offered me a full-time role. I rejected in spite of being COVID. Whichever role you get into in the data space, there are always overlaps.
Hello everyone. Today we have Sarthak with us. Sarthak works as a data engineer at American Express. And one amazing thing about Sarthak is that he offers free one-on-one mentorship on TopMate. And let's learn more about Sarthak's journey and you can see how to get his mentorship. Welcome Sarthak, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for giving your time. So let's start quickly. Can you give a brief introduction about yourself and your educational background and your current role?
Sure. So I was born in Delhi, brought up in Mumbai. My entire schooling was actually done in Mumbai. Then for college, I went off to Jaipur. I studied in the Jaipur campus of Manipal University, and that's where I pursued mechanical engineering. Although I did study, but I did not really pursue it as a career. Eventually, I began off in the business analytics, data analytics space, but finally landed up into data engineering.
I just want to give a high five for mechanical engineering. We just both did mechanical engineering and we got into a data domain. So that's very interesting. So doing a mechanical engineering, you presume that you don't have any coding knowledge. So you always have that mental block that can you enter into a tech field.
Yeah.
So what was your journey? How did you make that transition into a tech domain?
Sure. Going back to the beginning, mechanical engineering was something that I was not very passionate about, to be from the very beginning. But okay, people around me were like, this is an evergreen field, just go for it. I just decided to go for it. But okay, first 2 years in college was like, okay, I did study, I tried learning. But I think from my third year, I started realizing this is not something I want to pursue after leaving college, especially when I saw the disparity between the kind of opportunities I would have versus somebody in the software field would have. So I was like, okay, I want to do something that's little more flexible, little more location independent. If in future I get a chance, and yes, whatever I do, I just want to enjoy it, right? So that was the thought. Now, when I began, I began with a internship as a business analyst at a co-working spaces startup, which was back then in 2020 was a LinkedIn top startup, and this was again off campus. I did not really sit for most of the campus placement because there's another thought to it, because I was like, okay, even if I get in any service based company, what if they put me in a technology that I don't even enjoy or I don't like, right? So that's not gonna be something I can pursue for very long. So, and analytics was something, it piqued my interest because I used to like statistics right from school. I did take up a few statistics courses in college, which I did fairly well as compared to my mechanical engineering subjects. And programming was something, okay, I did have some experience, but okay, I was not super confident. So I was like, okay, let me get into analytics. Let me try and, act as a bridge between business and tech. And let's see, how that goes. So I think that started off as a internship as a business analyst, and then 6 months into it, I was like, okay, this is not as per my expectations. I was like, okay, I would be getting more work on the tech side, but rather it was like more business oriented. And I realized that in the long run, I would want to work a little more on the tech side.
Got it.
So, that's how it started. And then, okay, again, it was COVID, and I was able to find more time to brush up my skills. So I started taking Python and SQL very seriously. During the lockdown days also. And when I finished my internship, they offered me a full-time role. I rejected in spite of being COVID, in spite of not having anything in hand. I was like, no, this is not something I want to do for the longer run. Okay, I'll go find another opportunity. So I think I spent like 1.5 months, and I was able to get into a data and AI consulting firm. And I think from there, the data engineering journey actually started.
Wow, that's really awesome. That's a great journey actually. So usually, where did you pick up these coding skills from? Did you do it in your college days or after college days? Because you got a business analyst role initially, right?
Right.
So where did you pick up these skills initially?
So the the major thing that they expected me on the internship was to know Excel, which was something I was learning during my 7th semester. Even like after my third year completed, during the vacation time also I was learning Excel. I was understanding analytics. How do you analyze data with Excel? And just also like brushing upon Python and SQL, which obviously did not come in use during my internship. But yes, Excel was the main thing, and other than that, they just wanted someone to have like a little bit of an analytical mindset and some decent logic building skills. I wouldn't say like you should be able to solve puzzles or anything of that sort. But okay, even if you're like decent at it, it's fine. So I think because I somehow tick those boxes. So getting the internship was not super difficult. I still remember they just asked me a little bit about Excel. What do I know? What is a VLOOKUP? And then they just went on to okay, they gave me a guesstimate problem also during the interview, which I think I was kind of prepared because I was looking at how interviews are for business analysts. So I did like practice a few guesstimates. So I think that somehow went okay. And I mean, yeah, that was all. Just that helped me get into the business analyst role. But yes, the data engineering role had a lot of other more work to be done, which happened after I started pursuing that internship.
Okay, let's break it down completely. So you have had a business analyst experience and you also have a data engineering experience. So if you want to tell somebody who is just starting up, they're starting their career, like maybe from non-tech background or from a career break, so where should they start learning? First, you can tell about data analytics. Where should they start learning? What should be the roadmap? And then you can tell what should be the roadmap for data engineering. So let's start with data analytics first.
Okay. Sure. One thing I always feel is okay, whichever role you get into in the data space, there are always overlaps, right? So we see that in the data analytics and data engineering space also. In the data analytics space, I think obviously you start off with very basics. You can start off with Excel. You understand what tabular data is. You start learning about Excel. Then I think you can move on to a little more complex things like SQL. You can learn a little bit about Python as well. How do you analyze data with Python? And then I think you can also explore certain BI tools, Tableau, Power BI, Looker. I mean, you have a lot of them in the market, right? Any one, if you just understand, you can pretty much work on the others very easily because I feel a lot of the learning is very transferable. That's what I consider for data analyst.
And what would be the resources which you would suggest for somebody to prepare in these tools? Do you have anything specific which you used or something which you can suggest for the audience?
Yeah, sure. So I think for Python and SQL, I benefited a lot from DataCamp. So I had taken up a DataCamp subscription. And the good thing about the DataCamp platform or any other platform which gives you hands-on learning is because you get to solve problems right there. I mean, you don't have to worry about setting up an IDE, setting up a Python environment, setting up a SQL database, right? You don't have to worry about all of that. It's just that, okay, you learn the concept, you apply it right away. So I think that understanding is a little better there. Other than that, yes, I mean, if you're a person, if you can just watch YouTube videos, if you can just consume Coursera courses, just watch like visual content and then, maybe practice on your own, you can also try doing that. But yeah, I think I mostly, preferred technologies which are a little more hands-on oriented. So yeah, I think DataCamp, even Code Academy is one for Python and SQL. Other than that, I think for Excel, you can actually learn it very easily with just watching YouTube videos. I mean, just watch the video, follow along. I think it should be good. For Tableau and Power BI, again, I'm not an expert there, but yes, because I took up some courses, I think from Coursera itself. So I just followed along, those Coursera courses, try to, just create some of my own dashboards and stuff. So that's what I happen to take up.
That's pretty interesting roadmap actually. So before getting into the data engineering roadmap, can you please differentiate between what is data analytics and what is data engineering?
Sure. Okay, let's consider a fintech company. Okay, let's say you're running a fintech company and you've launched a new credit card. So obviously you'll onboard new users. People will be using the credit card. Now you'll have an app, you'll have websites, or you'll have like other platforms wherein you'll be having some data, right? So as a data engineer, what you would be doing is creating data pipelines, basically creating functionalities which will help you fetch that data from a particular source and land it up somewhere. Now that somewhere could be a data lake, it could be data warehouse, it could be any database or anything of that sort. So as a data engineer, you're responsible for ensuring that transfer is happening of data, the data storage is happening efficiently. The data that you're storing, so if somebody wants to get access to that data, they have that access and it's optimized, like they can query the data easily. That's what a role of a data engineer would look like at a very high level, right? For a data analyst, now the role of a data analyst comes into the picture after the data has been brought in. So let's say the data has been brought up into the data warehouse or database, and then they will start querying that data, pulling it out, analyzing, taking out insights, and then probably they can even like create some dashboards, reports, help the business users with any business questions that they may have. Again, using the same data that's there. So that's how I would differentiate between the two roles.
Yeah, that's a very good differentiation you gave. So now we can come back to the roadmap. So can you tell the data engineering roadmap which students has to follow?
Sure. I think again, to begin with, the first thing is SQL, because I feel as a data engineer, half the times you're using SQL. Almost with every tool, you will have some sort of SQL capability available, querying capability. So SQL is number one. Second, I would say yes, a scripting language, a programming language. So again, you can prefer using Python if you don't have any background before. But yes, I've also seen people skilled in Scala or Java for that matter. But okay, just getting started, Python is good enough. Then I think the third aspect comes down to a little bit of understanding of the cloud, like what it is, why are organizations really using the cloud, and just understanding how data engineering is actually done on the cloud. I mean, obviously, in the very beginning, you might not have a full-fledged project experience, but okay, you can try out how different components work and why are you using them. So a little bit of understanding of the cloud, and then fourth, I would say a little bit understanding on the the big data frameworks. Like for example, I mean, in today's time, the landscape is pretty vast, so it's very easy to get intimidated. But okay, if you just understand Spark for data processing, if you understand Airflow for data orchestration, and any data warehousing technology like Hive for that matter. So if you just understand these also, like how to use them, why you're using them, and then a little bit on the internals, like how they're really working under the hood, because that's something that's often asked in interviews. So if you just have this kind of preparation done, then you should be confident enough to go out there and try giving data engineering interviews, even as a fresher.
Actually, the data analytics roadmap looked most simpler than the data engineering one. If from mechanical engineering, I would have gotten intimidated that okay, I have to learn these many tools at one time. So yeah, that's the roadmap. So you can learn these tools in that sequence so that you can get into any of these roles as a fresher or somebody who's having a career break. This is where you need to start. So how does your day look as a data engineer? So what tech stack do you work on in American Express? How is your work?
Okay. Sure. Starting with the tech stack, I mean, we use Python a lot. Okay. Other than that, obviously SQL is there. We use a few big data frameworks like Spark, Hive. We have a data warehousing component as well. Other than that, there's also a little bit of exposure on the DevOps side. So I mean, I wouldn't say I do a lot of DevOps work, but yes, I need to have an understanding of like things like Docker, Jenkins, what Kubernetes is, because we have like, let's say a Python application that's processing data from REST APIs, pushing them into Kafka. So I need to understand Kafka. I need to understand what topics are in Kafka. So this is what majorly the tech stack looks like. In terms of work, now the team that I'm in right now, we do pretty much everything. What do I mean by that is we do development, we do testing, we do the deployment, and even sometimes when things go wrong in production, we ourselves have to go and fix them, because we are a small engineering team, don't really have any other dedicated team to help us out. Yes, there are infrastructure teams who manage the on-prem infrastructure. So if there's an environment related issue, we'll go reach out to them, work with them, get it resolved. But yes, some part of my day can be spent in working on my new development stories. Some time can be done with just working with the product team, getting the business requirements, the new data that they need. I'll process that. Sometimes it could be just understanding why the pipeline failed, debugging that, troubleshooting, and then probably fixing it. So I mean, depends on what aspect is like urgent at that point in time, but it can go across the spectrum.
Yeah, that sounds pretty interesting, working across different things, right? So that's pretty great. So what will be the salary range for a person who starts a career as a data engineer? So maybe you can tell a range for the freshers, and maybe you can tell once they get experienced, what can they expect as a data engineer?
Okay, sure. So I think in terms of salary, one of the major factors that comes into play is the kind of organization you join. Now, I would really categorize it into three broadly. So one can be a startup, the other one I think can be like a service-based company or a consulting firm, and third can be a product-based enterprise, right? So if you start off in a startup, honestly, I feel startups can be like, sometimes they can give you a lot also. Sometimes they can just get away with paying you peanuts, right? Service-based company, I think, is pretty standard. I mean, we know they are infamous for relatively low packages, but I feel it's easier to get in. And if you get onto a good project, if you spend some time, be patient, learn, you can eventually move up to a better organization post that.
Right.
And yes, the hardest one, of course, is like a enterprise. It could be a big tech like a Google or an Amazon, or it could be companies like American Express or any other product-based company. So there, obviously, I think they pay you like competitively. Now, if I give you exact figures, I mean, see, service-based companies, we know like 3 lakhs to 5 lakhs. That's usually the average, right? Startups, what I feel is, okay, they might be a little better. For freshers, it could go up to like 7 lakhs, even 9-10 lakhs as freshers, or even beyond, actually up to 15 also. Enterprises, I think, enterprises are, I would say they are much better, because obviously the interview rounds are much more difficult. There's more competition, but if you get in, I mean, you can even expect like 20 LPA, 25 LPA, even as a fresher. Right?
That's really amazing packages.
Yeah, I mean, coming out of college, you know, getting like 20 LPA is definitely a big thing.
Okay.
Right?
So is the pay for a data engineering role something synonymous with a SDE role, like a software developer role?
I think in the last few years, not like I've spent 20 years in the industry, but I would say in the last few years, it has come at par. That's what I've seen. Again, because even in the software engineering side, right? I mean, you would go either in startup, service-based company, or an enterprise, right? So I think data engineers' salary have definitely come at par, and you can expect pretty much same pay scale.
Okay. Yeah. So what would you suggest for a fresher, whether to choose data analytics or data engineering? Like, you might have a bias towards data engineering maybe, but what would be your suggestion for the students?
Yeah, and to answer that question, I'll tell you, I do have a bias for data engineering today, but if you would have asked me as a fresher, I would have not said the same thing, because I did not start off as a data engineer, right? I started off as a data analyst.
Right.
I mean, see, it depends. Honestly, when I started, I didn't really know what data engineering was. Now that I know, see, data engineering has a lot of overlap with software development practices. How do you work as a software development engineer? You might experience something similar in a good data engineering space, right? Data analytics, on the other hand, is like, okay, you like data crunching, you like just analyzing, getting insights, getting information extracted out, and obviously, if you have like good data storytelling skills, you can project the insights to your data consumers, to business stakeholders. You like a lot of communication. I think so. It's like, okay, you like tech as well as some I would say non-tech or like interpersonal skills. If you prefer that kind of role, data analyst is a little more meant for you, I would say, in a way. Data engineering, on the other hand, is like, okay, you like sitting in with your laptop and you're just working on development stories, or just fixing issues, or obviously you're analyzing data as a data engineer also, because there are times you load data in production, and then some business stakeholder might come, here, this trend is not looking good, or some source data has not come in the expected format, whatever. So again, you have to sit and analyze, but I would say it's like more independent. It's more like, okay, focused about your work and the technology in general. Data analyst is like, okay, you have to sometimes even work with other business stakeholders. A very important thing that differentiates between the two is also the business domain understanding. Because as a data analyst, you need to have a good business domain understanding. Otherwise, whatever data you're looking at, it's not of much use, right? Data engineer, on the other hand, I mean, you need to have some understanding. Obviously, you're writing the transformation rules and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, your role is to just get the required data in the required shape to your consumer, right? How they're using it, that's not really of a concern. So yes, if you like software engineering principles, and if you think you can go to a little more code heavy role, then data engineering is meant for you. Other than that, data analytics is also pretty vast, and
that's a really interesting perspective which you gave. So based on that, you can choose like where your interest lies. You can choose that particular domain, as Sarthak said, and then you can start learning the tools in that particular domain, and then start applying for jobs. That's what we have to do. Keep on applying till we get the first job. That's what we all did. We would have faced a lot of rejections before we got the first job. So so that is what you have to do. So Sarthak, you do one-on-one mentorship on TopMate, and you don't charge anything for that. So Like, what is the motivation behind that? And can you tell me something about that?
Yeah, sure. So when I started off in this field, right, I did get a chance to connect to some very helpful people, and they gave me some guidance, or they just told me, okay, how should I proceed with things?
Got it.
They never charged any money from me. It's not
Mhm.
like I couldn't pay, but then they did not really expect anything in return. So I'm just trying to follow the same ideology here. Yes, my thing is, okay, I have limited slots. It's not like open completely over
Got
the
it.
days, but yes, limited slots over the weekend. But I'm happy to help anyone without any expecting anything in return. So another way I look at it is, I'm not really issuing a service. It's like, okay, if I work for a, let's say, freelance project, or if I work for something part time, yes, I'm delivering a service there, I'm delivering some work, and then obviously somebody
Got
else is
it.
getting benefited out of it. Here is like more for the sake of an individual's growth or progress, or sometimes the people just come out to me asking, okay, how does your day in a company look like, as simple as that.
Got
So I'm happy to share my experience, my insights, and I don't really feel I should be charging
it.
them for it. Yes, if I work on a part-time project or something else,
Got it.
it could be with the same person who reached out to me on top of it. Yes, then obviously there will be commercials involved, there will be financials involved.
Got it.
But yes, like, no, I'm just trying to help as many people as I can, and if they get help out of it, I'll be more than happy.
Oh, that's really an amazing thing to do. Like, you're giving back to society, that because people have helped you when you were seeking guidance, so you're giving it back. So that's really awesome. So in the description, you can find Sarthak's LinkedIn profile, and also you can find Sarthak's TopMate link. So if you have any doubts, if you want to know how to get into data engineering roles, or if you want like specific roadmap, then you can approach Sarthak. He might be very happy to help you. Okay, Sarthak, so finally, like, do you have anything specific do you want to tell to the people who are preparing for data analytics or data engineering from scratch? Like, what do you want to tell them as an advice?
So I think I'll just advise that, okay, just try and keep it simple. Obviously, in terms of technologies or frameworks or languages, there's so much out there, right? So no need to get intimidated. Try to focus on the fundamentals, and and also, if you're getting into a role like this, you should keep in mind that you have to like continuously learn, continuously develop, because there are new technologies coming, and then there's obviously the advent of AI as well, right? So it's also impacting in certain areas of these fields, right? So you have to just keep on evolving, keep on learning, and if you like that continuous learning, I'm definitely sure anyone who's pursuing a data analyst or data engineer role will like continue staying in it. And I mean, that's it. And if you happen to obviously do well, get to a certain place, try help others as well. Share your journey, share your experiences. That's it.
Oh, that's an awesome philosophy, actually. Thank you so much, Sarthak. Thank you so much for giving your time and coming here and then helping out students on how to prepare for each role. So thank you so much.
Sure, that's my pleasure.
Yeah.